Peace, family. Welcome to the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. On today, I just want to talk about how there has been a conspiracy to destroy our families. And I don't even know if we realize how deeply embedded our psyche has been with the programming that we don't need each other. So you have elders living in nursing home facilities. You have children leaving home by the time they turn 18 and sometimes earlier than that, and going off to live on their own or going away to college. And that actually puts a financial strain on the entire family. You also have family members that are scattered, living abroad or living in different parts of the country away from each other, which puts a financial strain and emotional strain on the individual and the family. This is something that we need to rethink because we've had the programming to tell our children that they need to be out of the house by the time they're 18. Now, the brain doesn't even mature or be even able to process certain types of information until you're 25 years old. We have data to support that thesis that at 25, that's when you're able to make better decisions than you were at a younger age. So that's when you start to grow up. 25, that's 7 years outside of the 18-year-old range where we tell kids get out. So between 18 and 25, that's 7 whole years that children can make a whole lot of mistakes. That's 7 whole years that people are spending in relationships that go nowhere. That's 7 whole years that people are getting in debt. That's 7 whole years of people working for somebody else to build their empire to make them rich. That's 7 whole years away from the roots of the family that actually brought you into this world and nourished and fed you. So what's happening within the family now that we see so many of us spread out and so many of us doing our own thing is that people are under a lot of financial stress. People are trying to figure out how to pay their mortgage or their rent. People are trying to figure out how they're going to buy food, how they're going to keep their credit clean. Okay. But we send away our children at 18, not even teaching them for the most part what credit is, how you're supposed to maintain your credit. We don't even tell them about the credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. And most people don't even know about those until they, have maxed up their credit. So they go out, they leave our home. They're bombarded by commercials that tell them they need credit cards, or when they go away to college, they receive all this mail telling them, you get a credit, get some credit cards, you can get something now, pay it later. And that's when our children are in their years of being very easily influenced because, again, they're not even 25 years old yet. So we're not teaching them about credit. We don't teach them how to be fiscally responsible. A lot of them don't even know really how to have a bank account, how to manage bank accounts, let alone information about how to create a trust so that you own nothing but control everything because you allow your trust to control your assets. Most of us don't even know that as adults, let alone teaching that or pouring that into our children. So hopefully we don't have to deal with credit reporting agencies and credit going into the future as we've entered the golden age and a whole new era where everything will be backed by gold and people will just have different frame of references as we start do businesses with each other because credit should go away. However, in the meantime, these are all things that we have not taught our children. So we send them into the world where they now become very vulnerable to other men, to business people, to creditors and predators. And so they make all of these decisions. Some will be good and some will be, reckless decisions that could potentially destroy their lives. In the meantime, who's making money? The government's making money. The corporations are making money. The credit card companies, they're making money. Everybody is making money, as my son would say, on top of your head. And everybody in the meantime who's being taken advantage of is stressed out. Why do we have grandma and grandpa in a nursing home, sometime in 2 nursing homes, children scattered out to different colleges, different cities and states, and maybe mama and daddy in a house, or maybe not, maybe they're divorced? I'll tell you why, because there has been a program and a system put in place to systematically destroy the family, not only to destroy the family, but to destroy the community. It's hard to have community now. Most of us live in places where we didn't grow up, right? So you don't know the neighbors. Some of you do, but a lot of us don't know the neighbors. Even if you did send your grandchildren out to play or your children out to play, you would need to watch them like a hawk because you don't know the people around you. It used to be a time where the village or the community consisted of your family and maybe a few other families that were raised together. And then you would marry each other and help each other and do business with each other. In fact, I heard that it used to be a time where a village consisted of no more than 500 people, that 500 people or more is too much for people to be exposed to. Now you have the World Wide Web where people can see people from all over the world. They can talk to each other from all over the world. And while that's could be a good thing because now you have a lot of information, sometimes it becomes too much, especially when you think about exposing your children to the World Wide Web. So they're on their devices because parents are too busy working and they're being exposed to God knows what. So that's who's programming your children, anybody from the World Wide Web. But let's stop. We're not going to start there. What about sending them to Head Start, preschool, daycare, years of manipulation and programming, and then we send them to public schools or even private schools where their minds and brains are bombarded with a lot of misinformation, history, yes, but it's his story based on whoever wrote the books. It didn't used to be that way. 100, 200 years ago, we didn't have all this public schools, public funding, government programs. As a matter of fact, under the Republic, we might have had 4 or 5 departments. Now you have 441 or 442 government agencies. That's ridiculous. This is why we see a cutting back of the government or a downsizing of the government. It's not something that's intentionally done to hurt the people. Is something that needed to be done because most of these jobs are frivolous. Yes, you have money in your pocket, but you don't really need all of these jobs. You don't really need all of these programs in order to thrive in society. In fact, the more government involvement you have, the more programmed you are. So you have some people that are about big government, small business, and then you have on the other hand, small government, big businesses. Because if you have when I mean big business, lots of businesses, lot of trade and commerce, a lot of people conducting business with one another, then you set the precipice for how something should be done. You create the laws or the rules for how you manage your money or how you do business with each other. But conversely, you can have a government to tell you how to do things and what to do. But once the government comes in and tell you how to conduct your business with your money and your information and your manpower and your knowledge, then you best believe they're doing it because it's in the best interest of the government, which means that you are being controlled by so-called elite people who do not have your best interest at heart. Family, what I'm saying is we have public school education, we have predators, we have a government, we have 442 organizations or agencies that's calling themselves government agencies. We had a central banking system that controlled the monetary system and the printing of dollars even. We have had enough. All of this, along with Hollywood and entertainment, with their bad lyrics and their manipulative words and their programming through the television and the movies, all that has to come to a screeching halt. What do you need to do? How do you need to use your own skills, abilities, and knowledge to create the life that you desire? What kind of ingenuity do you have to create something for yourself? What are you going to do to support your own children that you had with your own body? Okay, when 2 people lay down together and make a child, it is not the government's responsibility to figure out how that child's going to be educated. 150 years ago, you didn't have that. So we're going to have to start thinking about what to do. Years ago, when we were growing up, you had the milkman. When my mom was growing up, you had a milkman. You didn't go to Kroger's to buy milk or to Publix or to Walmart to buy milk. You didn't go to all these big grocery stores to buy meat. We had butchers that lived right in our community that actually went out and hunted for meat, or they got meat from other hunters. And then you would go to the butcher shop and you would buy meat from the butcher, or you go out and hunt your own food. When I was growing up, you had farms, you had Gardens. Grandma had like 3 different gardens, one in her backyard, one at the school that was a community garden, and one a little further away that was also a community garden. We fed ourselves. What are you going to do to make sure you're okay and your community is okay? Now that all of these stores have come in and monopolized the market, they've taken over the mom and pop shops. We don't have local places to get your shoes fixed. We don't have tailors that we know anymore, or the dressmaker that we used to have down the street. You don't have your own people in from your community teaching your children your communal values anymore. We're sending them out to the public to get schooled, to get educated or schooled, which is, and that schoolhouse is funded by a government who does not have your best interest at heart. So where do we go from here? Because the government might not ever resurrect. Since the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine that gave the government unlimited powers, since that ruling has happened last year, they determined that the federal government was unlawful, that they were treasonous, and that they were unconstitutional. That is why you have a government shutdown. Now, yes, we can say that the Democrats want to fund illegal immigrants and they want to give them medical and health care and all that. That's only the surface stuff that's going on. The Supreme Court of the United States in 2024 overturned the Chevron doctrine, which gave these government agencies unlimited powers, and said that they were non-constitutional, they were treasonous, and they must cease to exist. The precursor to the Chevron doctrine being overturned by the Supreme Court of the United States was the letter that we call motu proprio, a letter that Pope Francis, you can say he was operating for the good by then, or he was infiltrated, or he could have been, operating for the bad and just giving us the information, letting us know what had to happen. But motu proprio was a letter that he wrote to Obama in 2014 saying it's over for us. It's over for the United States Incorporated. It's over for the deep state. It's over for every single federal agency. He said, we all must cease and desist and stand down. He said, if we won't do it, a grand army of the republic will be formed with General Ham leading the charge to take down the system. 2014, he told us this. So if you didn't learn about motu proprio, I've been talking about it for many years. A few people have been talking about it. The Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey of the Moors has been talking about it since 2014. So you just didn't know, but that led to the takedown of the deep state. That led to NESARA and JASARA, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and the global version of that, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. That led to the farmers taking the United States Incorporated to court and determining through the world courts that the Federal Reserve Central Banking System, that is the banking system of the United States Incorporated, has been unlawfully conducting banking practices that were against not only the farmers, but we the people in America and all across the globe. And by the way, the farmers won their claim. And if you don't know what the ruling was and what the determination from that ruling will be, then you need to look at my video on Dr. Kia Pruitt, or my handle is at Dr. Kia Pruitt Official, to see all of the benefits of NESARA. Just look up NESARA, Dr. Kia Pruitt. I'll list a list of benefits. All of this led to the government shutdown. But most recently, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine that said no longer can the government exist. It had to be silenced. It had to be taken down. And that is why when President Trump came on board as the 47th president in January, he and Elon Musk created DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE then started cutting back government spending. They went after U.S. aid that was giving aid to all these foreign countries. They went after all the different government agencies to see how this money was being spent and how many jobs were created that really didn't have anything to do with helping with the people. They went after DEI programs, diversity, equity, inclusion, that hired a bunch of people, immigrants and others, that for jobs that really wasn't helping the people to thrive. So I know people are kind of, on the ledge. Like, what do we do? Where do we go from here? And that is why I'm bringing on the Grand Sheikh, also known as Asir, the Duke of Tears, who has A lot of information. He is a historian. He is actually a doctor. He has a doctorate in jurisprudence. He is a scholar. He's a historian, and he's been doing research on the United States Incorporated and the Republic for many, many decades. He's a very knowledgeable man. You all have heard from him. You love him. You can look him up on YouTube. Asir, Asee, two E's, R. The Duke, Duke, of Tears, Tiers. The man is phenomenal. He's highly educated. He is the husband of one woman. He's not running out in the streets. He is a man of integrity. He has children for whom he provides. He has written books. He has a coloring book. The man is astute. He's a scholar. He lives an upright, righteous lifestyle. And that's why I'm bringing him before you to talk to you about where do we go from here.